Most people misunderstand what self-respect truly means. They think it's about confronting toxic people head-on, raising their voice when yelled at, clapping back when disrespected, or proving that no one can walk over them. They fight fire with fire, believing that's strength. And sometimes, yes, they win the argument, but they lose something far more valuable: their own peace, their own self-respect. The Stoics understood something deeper, something timeless. The moment you let someone else's ugliness pull you out of character, you've already handed them your power. Because self-respect isn't about showing your worth to people too blind to see it. It's about staying true to your character, even when someone else abandons theirs. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Not louder, not crueler, not mirroring their poison just to make a point, but choosing calm over chaos, dignity over drama. Today, we'll explore 5 Stoic principles that teach you how to protect your self-respect in the presence of toxic people. Not by overpowering them, but by mastering yourself. And I'll warn you, Principle 3 is the toughest. It demands you do the opposite of your instincts when someone attacks you. But it's also the one that will guard your dignity like nothing else can. By the end of this journey, you'll understand how to remain centered, composed, and unshaken, even when surrounded by people trying to drag you down. If you're tired of toxic people stealing your peace, if you're ready to reclaim your self-respect, let's begin. Principle number 1. Separate their behavior from your worth. There's a moment, quiet but sharp, when a toxic person strikes. It might be a cruel comment, a mocking laugh, a look meant to belittle you. And before you even realize it, your body reacts. Your chest tightens. Your mind scrambles to defend itself. You want to prove them wrong. Show them you're not weak. But that's exactly what they want. They want you to feel small. Because if you believe their words even for a second, they've already won. Not because they were right, but because they made you forget who you are. The first principle of self-respect is understanding this simple truth. What they do is not about you. Toxic behavior is a mirror, but it reflects them, not you. Their cruelty, their bitterness, their constant need to dominate, these are projections of their own chaos. It's not your job to fix it, absorb it, or make sense of it. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "When another blames you or hates you, or people voice similar criticisms, go to their souls, penetrate inside, and see what sort of people they are. You will realize that there is no reason to be racked with anxiety that they hold any particular opinion about you." In other words, pause before reacting. Ask yourself, who is this person, really? Are they calm? Are they wise? Are they living in peace? If not, why would their opinion carry weight? When you let other people's behavior define your emotions, you hand them the strings to your inner world. And toxic people love pulling those strings. They thrive on reactions. Every outburst, every argument, every emotional collapse tells them they still have control. But the moment you stop taking it personally, the moment you realize their actions are reflections of their own pain, something powerful happens. You detach. You stop dancing to their chaos. You stop seeing their insult as a reflection of your value. You start to see it as evidence of their struggle. Think of it this way. if someone throws mud at a clean wall. Principle number 2. Don't argue for your dignity. Live it. Toxic people have a hidden talent. They know how to pull you into pointless battles. They twist your words, question your intentions, and make you feel like you have to explain yourself to prove your worth. You find yourself saying, "That's not what I meant," or "You don't understand me," thinking if you just explain clearly enough, they'll finally respect you. But here's the truth. You can't win respect from someone committed to misunderstanding you. No matter how calmly you explain, they'll twist it. No matter how kind you stay, they'll find fault. Because their goal isn't truth, it's control. The Stoics believed that dignity isn't something you defend with words, it's something you demonstrate with behavior. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." In other words, stop debating your worth. Embody it. When you argue with a toxic person, you step onto their battlefield, and on that field, you can't win. They don't play fair. They don't seek peace. They seek reaction. Every time you explain, justify, or plead, you hand them another piece of your peace. But when you stop arguing and start living your dignity, you shift the balance. You move from defense to quiet strength. You speak less, but your silence carries more power than their words ever could. Picture this. Someone throws insults your way, words designed to wound. Instead of reacting, you take a slow breath. You meet their eyes not with anger, but calm indifference. Then you walk away. That's not weakness, that's control. That's what true self-respect looks like. Composure in the face of chaos. Because dignity doesn't shout, it doesn't need to. It's the steady energy that says, "I don't need to prove myself to you." Every time you refuse to argue for your worth, you remind yourself that your value isn't up for debate. Your peace is not a discussion. Your self-respect is not. Principle number 3. Respond with stillness, not emotion. When someone attacks you, insults you, mocks you, or spreads lies, your instinct screams to react. Your heart races, your fists tighten, your mind starts crafting the perfect comeback. You want to hit back, to prove them wrong, to make them feel the same pain they caused you. But in that rush of emotion, something precious slips away. Your peace, your power, your clarity. The Stoics knew that true strength isn't shown in how loudly you respond, but in how calmly you refuse to. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Toxic people feed off reaction. They want you angry, defensive, unstable. Because the moment you lose your calm, they gain control. It becomes their game, and you start playing by their rules. They speak chaos, and you answer in the same language. But what if you refused to speak that language at all? What if, instead of reacting, you paused, truly paused, and responded with stillness? Stillness doesn't mean silence out of fear. It means control out of wisdom. It means observing your emotions without becoming them. It's that split second of awareness where you realize, I don't have to react to every provocation. Imagine this. A toxic person tries to bait you with an insult. You feel your anger rise, but instead of letting it take over, you breathe deeply. You watch the anger, but you don't act on it. You let their words echo and fade, like noise bouncing off a mountain. They expect a fight. Instead, they get nothing, just calm, grounded stillness. And in that silence, they lose their power, because when you don't react, you're not ignoring them. You're mastering yourself. You're proving that your emotions belong to you, not to the person trying to control them. Every time you stay calm under attack, you train your mind to rise above chaos. You become like a deep ocean. Storms may ripple. Principle number 4. Set boundaries without guilt. Toxic people hate boundaries. Not because they misunderstand them, but because boundaries expose their control. They thrive on overstepping, testing limits, and draining your peace little by little. And when you finally say no, they act shocked, as if your refusal is an act of betrayal. That's when guilt creeps in. You start doubting yourself. Am I being too harsh, too cold, too selfish? But here's the truth. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They're gates that protect what's sacred inside you. And your peace, your time, your mental health are sacred. Seneca once said, "He who does not prevent a crime when he can, encourages it." Translated to modern life, if you don't stop people from crossing your limits, you silently give them permission to continue. Setting boundaries isn't cruelty, it's clarity. It's saying, "This is where I end, and you begin." It's the realization that love, respect, and kindness can only exist where there is mutual understanding, not manipulation. Think of your peace like a garden. You can't control who walks by, but you can control who steps inside. If someone keeps trampling your flowers, you don't argue. You close the gate, not in anger, but in quiet self-respect. Toxic people often use guilt as their final weapon. They'll say, "You've changed," or "You're so distant now," trying to make you feel responsible for their unhappiness. But you must remember, you're not obligated to burn yourself to keep others warm. When you set boundaries, you're not pushing people away. You're protecting your energy from those who only take. You're saying yes to peace, yes to growth, and yes to the version of yourself that doesn't live in chaos anymore. And you don't owe anyone an explanation for that. You don't need to justify your boundaries to the people who broke them in the first place. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is to be unlike the wrongdoer." So instead of fighting, simply... Principle number 5. Don't seek closure. Create it within. One of the hardest truths in life is this. You won't always get closure from the people who hurt you. They won't apologize. They won't admit what they did. They might even twist the story to make you look like the villain. And you'll be left waiting for a conversation that never happens, a moment of honesty that never comes. That's when bitterness begins to grow. You replay their words, their betrayal, their silence. You start thinking, if they just said sorry, I could move on. But Stoic wisdom teaches something different. Closure isn't something they give you, it's something you give yourself. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." You can't control their remorse, but you can control your release. You can decide that your healing doesn't depend on their guilt. When you seek closure from toxic people, you're actually seeking validation, proof that your pain mattered. But the truth is, it did, even if they never acknowledge it, even if they keep pretending nothing happened. Your peace cannot depend on their conscience, because if you wait for them to make things right, you keep them chained to your heart. They continue to occupy space in your mind, not because they deserve it, but because you keep leaving the door open. Real closure is quiet. It happens when you stop asking why and start saying enough. When you stop looking backward for answers and start looking inward for strength. It's the day you realize you don't need to understand why they did it, you just need to understand that you're done carrying it. Imagine this. You're standing in front of a burning bridge. On the other side are the people who hurt you, the memories, the what-ifs. For a long time you stand there, waiting for them to cross, to explain, to make it right. But then you finally turn around. You walk away, not in anger, but in acceptance. That's closure. It's choosing peace over answers. It's forgiving yourself for expecting decency from those who had none. In the end, real strength isn't loud. It isn't about proving yourself to the world. It's about mastering yourself in silence. The Stoics didn't seek revenge. They didn't waste time explaining their worth to those who couldn't see it. They simply lived it. When you stop reacting to toxicity, when you protect your peace without guilt, when you create your own closure, you rise above the noise. Because peace isn't given. It's chosen. And the moment you choose it, no one can take it away. So walk forward, calm, grounded, untouchable. Let them talk, let them test, let them twist the story. You just keep standing tall, like the Stoic statue in the storm. You don't need to fight for your respect anymore, because you've finally learned how to be it.